Good evening, I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us at 6. We're under a winter weather advisory tonight as snow heads our way. And McGoffin County Schools just announced they are on a 2-hour delay for tomorrow.
Seth Phillips is in for Bill tonight, and he's tracking the system bringing the snow. Seth?
Yeah, that's right. And along with that winter weather advisory, we're also to 1 for our threat index, because this is a system that will not necessarily cause you to stay home all day tomorrow, but it is a system that we need to pay attention to and prepare for. Allow a little extra time to get on the roads tomorrow, because there will be some snow falling and collecting. So throughout tonight and tomorrow morning, we'll see the snow falling. As far as when it starts to accumulate, it's whenever those road surface temperatures are going to start to get down to freezing, which they will do eventually, especially overnight tonight. After midnight, temperatures are getting down into the 20s, so that means road surfaces, especially those elevated, will start to cool down enough. But for right now, it is a rain-snow mix, nothing that we can't handle, a lot of it melting on contact because of the temperature still being above freezing. Very minor, I mean a little above freezing, but still at this time, roads are not cool enough. But that will change. So for tonight and tomorrow, at least until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we do have our winter weather advisory. We'll, of course, talk more about amounts, timing, and the rest of your week forecast in just a little bit.
Thank you, Seth. Also, we want to tell you this just in the LEX 18 newsroom. Oneida Baptist, no bus service tomorrow.
Well, you often hear people say that this is a terrible time of the year for certain things to happen. Well, in Floyd County, it really doesn't matter what the calendar says. Much of the community would be heartbroken no matter the dates.
A fire took the life of a little boy who just couldn't escape his house last night. It happened just south of Prestonsburg on Highway 23. Alexa Helwig has more details in tonight's big story at 6.
A family and their small town community are dealing with a traumatic situation tonight. A fire killing an 8-year-old boy late last night is an overwhelming thought for Chelsea Shepard. She drove past this house that was up in flames late last night.
I have a little sister. If I lost her, I don't know what I'd do, honestly.
Even several hours after the fire started, smoke and a small flame were still visible for passersby today. State police say they got a call just after 11 o'clock about the fire and that someone was trapped inside.
It's sad. Really sad.
The Prestonsburg Fire Department was on scene, and after getting the fire under control, they were able to start their search. That's when they found the young boy dead inside.
I was already upset about it because, I don't know, whenever people's places catch on fire, it makes me think of like what they've lost.
With the loss of their home and the grief of losing a young son, Shepard hopes the people of Prestonsburg will come together.
If the family needs help, then I think that the community should like go together and help them with whatever they need.
Covering the news in Floyd County, Alexa Helwig, LEX 18 News.
The father of the boy was taken to the hospital. He had some burns and cuts, but is expected to be okay. Kentucky State Police continues to investigate the cause of that fire.
The NTSB's final report on the helicopter crash that killed country music star and Kentucky native Troy Gentry places the blame on the pilot. Federal investigators say pilot error following engine maintenance problems caused the September 2017 crash in New Jersey. The NTSB says pilot James Evan Robinson said he had done the emergency maneuver before, but apparently cut the engine ahead of the runway before crashing in the woods. The 50-year-old Gentry was half of the award-winning country music duo Montgomery Gentry. The grandmother of a missing Knott County woman has raised her reward money to $15,000, hoping money will get someone to talk.
But that reward won't last long. She says it's her last resort for finding her granddaughter. Lee Searcy has the story from Knott County.
Natasha Jones would be 35 now.
I think any grandma would do the same thing.
The last time Ola Chafin saw her granddaughter was walking down her driveway here in Knott County. The mother of 2 left a note under her oldest son's pillow saying she'd be back in a couple of days. That was more than 3.5 years ago.
If she could, she'd be here. There ain't a doubt in my mind about that. She loved her boys.
Chafins will never forget what Natasha's oldest son said soon after his mother disappeared.
Hunter said, Grandma said, I think it's time we go mommy looking.
Chafins recently increased reward money to $15,000 for anyone who tells her where to find Natasha. So far, though, nothing.
It's pretty heartbreaking because you think that somebody would say something.
Chaffins tells me she often looks out into the woods and wonders where Natasha could be.
I just have that feeling that somebody knows something, but they're afraid to talk.
Today is Natasha's youngest son's 12th birthday. Do you know what he told his grandmother?
I just wish Mom would come home. He loves her and he wished she would come home.
Covering the news in Knott County, Lee Searcy, LEX 18 News.
Ola Chaffins says she'll offer the reward until the end of December in one last-ditch effort to get answers. After that, she's taking it away. If you have any information, contact Kentucky State Police in Hazard. The man arrested in Lexington in connection with the execution-style murders of 8 family members in Ohio pleaded not guilty to all 22 charges against him today.
LEX 18 was on the scene as Billy Wagner was arrested outside Rood and Riddle Equine Hospital in Lexington last month. Wagner, his wife, and their 2 sons are accused of killing 8 members of the Roden family in Pike County, Ohio, 2.5 years ago. Wagner's mother and mother-in-law are accused of trying to cover up the crimes. Investigators say a custody battle led to the murders. The man shot following a chase and officer-involved shooting in Frankfort last week has been identified. The State Journal says it was 38-year-old Zendel Lindell who sped off when a Frankfort police officer tried to pull him over. Deputies and troopers tried to stop him too, and that's when police say Sherry Lindell got out of the car and interfered, allowing Zendel to drive away again. Police say they opened fire when Zendel tried to run over one of the officers. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. A trooper suffered minor injuries.
This week, as Americans reflect on the life and times of President George H.W. Bush, a Kentucky family has been reminiscing about their very special encounter with the late president the night before his inauguration. Claire Komsky has that story.
Nearly 30 years ago, this singing, fiddling, and clogging family sensation picked up the call of a lifetime.
We were used to getting calls, can you do this, can you do that? But this special call came in that the new president and his wife saw you on TV and want your kids to perform at their inauguration. It's like, what? Are you kidding?
Barbara Bush saw Kentucky Country play on the show Incredible Sunday and asked if they'd come to D.C. for the inaugural gala. About 8 years prior, the kids and their cousins moved out to Las Vegas with their mom and dad's band on a contract.
They were always practicing, we were always in the way, and so they decided to give me a fiddle, teach me how to play. And of course my next youngest cousin was like, well, I'm not going to let him get all the attention, so she started. Then my sister was the next in line, she started, and then my cousin was the next, and that's how we started.
They performed around the world and across the country, but hadn't been to D.C. until the call came in 1988.
When the president tells you to dance, you dance.
At such a young age, Nathan admits before the show he didn't fully understand the breadth of the event.
Everybody said he was a down-to-earth person, and that's exactly the impression that the children got.
I remember he was a very warm person. He seemed like just any other guy, like he was like better than you or anything, you know. He just came, hi, I'm George, and shook your hand. And
he would treat the children that way and come down and specifically shake their hands and tell them, you know, he enjoyed what they did and they did a great job. I think that just shows overall what a, you know, what a father, really, figure that he was for the country.
The highlight of Kentucky Country's performing career marked by a man who treated them like his own. Covering the news in Lexington, Claire Kopsky, LEX 18 News.
Stay with LEX 18 after our newscast for continuing coverage on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt at 6:30 and LEX 18 News Evening Edition at 7. And tomorrow, NBC News will have live coverage of the service at the Washington National Cathedral to remember President George H.W. Bush. Coverage begins at 9 a.m. A Lexington rap artist is braving the cold to raise awareness of the needs of less fortunate children this winter.
Watch how he's hitting the streets to make a difference. Next on LEX 18 News at 6.